Hello, everyone. It's Thursday afternoon. I haven't been on here for a while. I've been doing tons and tons and tons of camping. I got home last night. I've kind of been resting a lot today. And I'm a little behind on Wayne's World of Wine Facebook page. I know Mark and Pam Fullwider have done a couple of wine tastings, and I have not had a chance to read or watch them and comment on them. So I hope to get to that tonight. And obviously I've not had a chance to do any wine tastings on my own since I've been camping. I'm only home tonight, and I'm leaving again tomorrow and will not be back until Sunday night. I just got a message here that I have a slow connection. I've been having some problems with the satellite Starlink because of trees, so hopefully I'll hold this connection. Before I get into the wine tasting, I want to mention a couple of things that are wine related. I was listening to about 6 to 7 hours of wine podcasts yesterday while I was traveling. And I was listening to different reviews of wines. I was listening just to different things. And there's a couple of things that came up that I thought was kind of unusual. This one woman who is a young woman in her 30s who is allegedly an expert on wine tastings, and she made a couple of comments that I'm not sure that I agree with. The first comment she said is that when you go to a wine tasting, make sure you tip your pourer at the wine tasting. Well, I haven't been to a wine tasting in a winery in a few years. Back in the old days, you could show up at a winery, go in, and your wine tastings were free, or maybe $5. And you could taste 5, 6, 7 bottles or little sips of wine. And I guess now it's become more formal, and I guess it's not unusual that some wineries ask that you make a reservation, and wine tastings are $25 and $30 for the same little 5 pours that you got years ago. And so I don't understand tipping a wine pourer. I don't think I agree with that. The other thing that she commented on that I totally disagree is that every wine tasting that I've ever been at a winery, they give a pitcher of water on the bar or on the counter. And between wines, you pour your water, after you finish the wine, you pour water in there and you swirl it around and you empty it into the spit bucket to rinse your glass out. She says if she's ever hosting a wine tasting, she does not provide water, and she says, and don't even ask me for water. She says, you're not supposed to do that. She says, the little bit of water residuals in there, after you rinse your glass out, she says, it dilutes your wine. To me, I think that's crap. And so she goes on to, because first of all, there's hardly any water in there. Then she goes on to say that what you should do is you should take your next wine and put a little bit of wine in there and swirl it around and empty it out so that you don't have any water in there. Then you can taste that wine. Well, to me, that's a waste of wine, to be honest with you. So I really don't agree with that. Another wine taster said something, a wine expert said something on a podcast yesterday that I fully agree with. He said, Americans drink their whites way too cold. I'm guilty. I like my whites very cold. And he said, well, one thing about drinking your whites too cold, it does have a tendency to hide the fruitiness, the flavors of wine. But I'm a white wine drinker who likes them cold. And by the way, the last 3 days of camping, it's been in the 90s, and I mean the mid to high 90s. And so I've drank almost exclusively white wines for the last 4 or 5 days, and they were all cold white wines. This wine expert also said that Americans drink their reds too warm. I agree with that too. The old adage is you should keep your reds you should drink your reds at cellar temperature. Well, that's true. And the cellar temperature from a true wine cellar is 55 degrees. The true temperature of a person's house now is generally around 70 to 75 degrees. And most people don't have their wine cellars air conditioned and temperature controlled. So when they drink their red wines, they're generally around 65, 70 degrees, 75 degrees, which I agree is way too warm. And he suggested that you put your wines in the refrigerator, your reds in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes before you drink them. I agree with that. That's not a bad idea. Now, my cellar is in the basement. It's not air conditioned, but the temperature in my cellar stays at about 58 to 60 degrees. So if I bring a bottle of wine up from the cellar, and I drink it right away, the temperature is pretty good. But obviously, once you have it upstairs here in the dining room or the kitchen or the living room or wherever I'm hanging out, it'll adapt to the room temperature up there. So those are just a couple of comments that I picked up yesterday on the red and white wines, on the temperatures, and then going to a wine tasting. All right, so I had asked people what they would like for me to taste tonight, and Mark Fullwider says, how about doing a Merlot? All right, so I'm going to do a Merlot. I went down after he made that comment yesterday. I went downstairs to the wine cellar, and I pulled a bottle of Merlot out. I was a little shocked to find that I only have 3 bottles of Merlot in my cellar. I'm a big Merlot fan, but I don't know. I only have 3 bottles down there. So I brought up a bottle of a 2022, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but the winery is Ambición, a 2022 Ambición from the Mendoza region of Argentina. I have not drank a lot of Argentinian wines. I've drank a lot of Chilean wines. I've had Argentinian wines before, but not a lot. So I don't really know much about this 2022 Ambición Merlot from Argentina, other than the fact that it's 13% alcohol by volume. So let's give it a shot and see what we're going to get here. There's your standard backward picture of the bottle. This wine sells for probably $15 to $18. Should be available pretty much anywhere. But anyway, we'll give it a shot and see. Let's start off with while I was listening to the wine podcast yesterday, one of the experts who was a fellow was talking about how to conduct a tasting. And he was just identically repeating everything that I have told you folks on these podcasts in the past about how to look at wine when you first pour it, how to sniff it, how to slosh it around in your mouth, how to hit all of the flavor palate points on your palate. He said look for legs, and he used the word legs. The structure, he used the word chewy. Very similar things that I've known for the last 40 years. Okay, so let's look at here. We got here this 2022 Ambición Merlot from Argentina. So we hold it up to the light. The body is very good. It's got very good structure. It's got nice legs on the inside of the glass. The color is very Merlot telling, which means it's not a black, very dark black color, or dark reddish color, almost black, like a Syrah or Shiraz, or even some Cabernet Sauvignons. But it's not a lighter red like a Pinot Noir or even a Zinfandel, or some of your lighter Italian reds that are sometimes lighter in red like a Pinot Noir. It's got a good red color, and it's a ruby color, a little darker than ruby perhaps. It's got a nice little lighter red pink ring around the wine in the glass. And again, the structure is good. Let's give it a sniff and see what we have here. Well, it's It's a very pleasant aroma on the nose, but it's nothing that is exceptional. I will tell you, it's a very standard Merlot aroma. You know, I'm picking up notes here of black cherry, blackberries, black cherry, cherries. Traditionally dark black fruit that you normally get in a Cab or a Merlot. Not picking up any oak in this, not to say that there won't be oak, but the notes that I'm picking up on the nose, again, are black cherries, blackberries, and just black fruit. All right, let's give this a taste and see what we get. This wine, not to repeat an old repetitious term, but this wine is chewy. And what that basically means is that this wine is thick, this wine is well made, this wine has body. Now, what makes wine chewy, or we think that it's well made, and you might even want to use the word, it might be a little heavy rather than light. It's got tannins. This wine has definitely got tannins in it. The tannins somewhat overwhelm the fruit in this. I am not picking up any other nuances of flavors on the palate than what I got on the nose. I'm picking up blackberries and I'm picking up cherries on the palate. But I'm also picking up a very heavy dose of tannins. Now, the tannins are not to the point that they're bitter, but they are somewhat, almost, you know, some experts, which I am not, would say, well, maybe the tannins are balanced. My own personal opinion is that the tannins are a little bit heavy for the amount of fruit that's available on this wine. I can taste the fruit, no question about it, but the tannins are also, particularly on the back of my tongue, I'm picking up the tannins. And so I have a slight bitterness coming back from on the back of my tongue. Let me see what else. Let me try it again. Well, I'm almost sure this wine has been aged in oak. I'm not picking up hints of oak, but I'm also not picking up the crispness of if it was aged in stainless steel. So I think it must have been aged in oak. And again, I'm picking up the tannins at somewhat a little heavier than maybe I would like on this particular wine. It's a good wine. There's no question. I would drink this wine. I would not use this wine for cooking or pouring it down the sink. I would drink it. It's not the best Merlot I've ever had. It's not a bad Merlot. I don't know the price of it. I did not look it up. But if this wine is in the $15 to $18 range, then I would say that it's worth the money that you would be paying for it. It's a nice wine. It would be an excellent wine to drink when you're having a thick steak. This would be a nice steak accompaniment wine to serve with steak. You could also pull off barbecued ribs with this wine. Barbecued ribs might actually be a little better than a steak because the barbecued ribs might have enough sweetness in the barbecue sauce to offset some of the tannins in this wine. I think it's a good wine. I would recommend it. I don't know if it's available. I haven't actually looked. Another thing that I want to mention, well, we'll go on. But another thing that I wanted to mention is I think I'm getting a lot of these wines that I'm enjoying from my wine club. I'm not sure all these wines are available at Piggly Wiggly's or Kroger or any of the large grocery stores that people have a tendency to buy their wines in. So I've noticed that Mark and Pam and Cindy and David, who's done wine tastings for us, are buying local wines at, say, Trader Joe's, Kroger, Piggly Wiggly, places like that. Wines that we know are available. I'm not going to abandon all of these unusual European wines that I'm getting with my wine club, because I think that it offers me an insight to impart to you folks about some of these different wines from overseas. For example, I have a significant number of white Greek wines downstairs. I'm looking forward to tasting those and putting those online. Those you're probably not going to be able to find at your local grocery store. So I will, again, try to start buying a few more of the more readily common wines to taste. Mark and Pam did a Dollar General Spring Creek Merlot, I think it was, and they did a tasting on it. The next day, Cindy and David bought the exact same wine at their Dollar General in Louisiana and did a tasting on it. And I wanted to pick up a bottle of that Spring Creek Merlot, and I never got around to it. I was in Charleston, and I just didn't get a chance to do it. Marion has a Dollar General just the next street over from her house, but I just didn't go over there to get a chance to get it. So I couldn't drink it and get my taste compared to Cindy and David and Mark and Pam's. But I will try to get wines that are more common to you all. Well, listen, I'm leaving here tomorrow. And Saturday I'm going to the mountains of West Virginia, and I'm going to accomplish a couple of things. I'm going to get rid of this 95-degree heat. Saturday's supposed to be the most brutal one of the last 8 days of this heat wave. It's supposed to be 99 degrees in Marietta here on Saturday with 105 heat index, which I don't need. So I'm going to the mountains, but I'm also going to see a Shakespeare play Saturday night. Going to see the Shakespeare play The Tempest. I have not seen that specific Shakespeare play, so I'm looking forward to seeing the West Virginia Shakespeare troupe, which is called the Rustic Mechanicals, perform this play. So that should be enjoyable. Well, listen, I really would like to do a wine tasting again here in my wine cellar. I know I tried to set one up. I gave a couple of months' notice. It was scheduled for about 2 weeks ago, and I had no feedback. The only person who said they were coming was Marion, and so Marion and I had our own wine tasting. Yeah, of course, we only tasted one bottle. But the thing I'd like to really do, so if you really, truly want to do a wine tasting with me, just message me or let me know. And if it's just somebody, maybe just one or two people that wants to come over and do a little wine tasting, if you want to bring 2 bottles, I'll provide 2 or 3 bottles because we're not going to drink but just a little tiny bit in each one. And so if there's only 1 or 2 of you, we can still taste 4 or 5 wines. And I can coordinate with you on what wines I would suggest you bring, and you'll have a little bit of a comparison. Because there's nothing better than pouring this cab, and pouring this cab, and pouring this cab, and then tasting them 1, 2, 3, and seeing the difference between 3 different Cabernet Sauvignons. And we would do something like that, and we would distinctly pick different regions, and so that we would be able to try to pick up the nuances of the terroir or the oak or the stainless steel aging process. Well, listen, I will let you go. I am going to fix me a nice steak tonight, a filet mignon. I thawed it out yesterday, and I knew I was going to do this Merlot tasting tonight, and I was thinking, that filet mignon will go good with the Merlot. And now that I've tasted this Merlot, trust me, it will go well with my steak. And I'm trying to cut back on my carbs, like a lot of us do at my age. So I'll probably fix me a nice big salad along with just the carnivore meat there, the filet mignon. Well, listen, thank you for listening. I don't know if anybody popped on. I didn't see any comments or anything else. But if you wish to send me any comments, as usual, you can message me or you can post it on Wayne's World of Wine. And try to get friends of yours to subscribe or to like or to come on Wayne's World of Wine. I had a woman yesterday who applied, and never heard of her. She's not a standard Facebook person. And I went ahead and I approved her to join Wayne's World of Wine. And I'm the only person on this page who moderates it, so I can keep an eye on it. So if I get somebody who slips through who's a scammer, I'll remove them immediately. So get your friends to start joining Wayne's World of Wine. We'd like to get this to grow. I even thought of yesterday on the way back from Terre Haute, Indiana, about maybe shifting Wayne's World of Wine over to YouTube and doing podcasts on YouTube, which would allow a very large opportunity to increase the viewership. So think about that. There's about 90 of you folks that are on Wayne's World of Wine. Give me some thoughts. Message me. Tell me what you think about if I should maybe push this Facebook page over to a YouTube podcast page. I haven't decided one way or the other. I'm just throwing it out there for you folks to give me comments. And so anyway, I appreciate it, and thank you all for popping on, and hopefully you'll watch it a little bit later since I don't see anybody here today, and give me some comments. Well, listen, everyone, take care, and I will talk to you. I'm going to shoot for Monday. No, let me rephrase that. I'm going to shoot for Sunday night to do my next tasting. No idea what I'll taste. I guess off the top of my head right now, I would say, I think I'll do a white. I think so. So listen, take care, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.